Hello everyone, my name is Aku, and I'm Juniper's Head of AI Evangelism. Today I have the honor of being joined by our very own Bob Friday, who's our Chief AI Officer. Well, hello there, Bob.
Cool, thanks for having me. This is a great time to be in networking, and it's exciting to be here with you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, everyone, today we are going to learn more about Gen AI and what Juniper Networks is doing in that field. Also, we'll dive deeper into LLMs, as well as Microsoft Teams, as well as Zoom, and what we're doing for our customers in that space. So what is the power of Gen AI, and what does this mean for Juniper Network?
Yeah, cool. Start with, at an industry level, Gen AI, ChatGPT is the next generation of user interfaces for a lot of verticals, including networking. It's really what's going to allow people to get the data out of their network in a much more natural, easier way. If you look what happened in networking, we've gone from CLIs to dashboards. ChatGPT and LLMs is that next generation user interface. For Juniper specifically and Marvis, we've been doing conversational interfaces since 2018 and helping enterprises answer real-time troubleshooting questions. Natural language is going to bring that natural human interaction into Marvis now, making it really easier for people to understand real-time troubleshooting. And what we've added lately is that public knowledge-based documentation questions, where people can now answer questions about how to configure a switch, an AP, and a router, and making it easier to find that information in public documents.
So I love how you, in the MIST team, reorged it to put the data scientists and the support team side by side to work together. And I think that is such an important partnership for the success of the organization. On that note, I would love to learn about how do LLMs empower your customers so that they don't open as many support tickets?
When we started MIST, that was the original vision for MIST, is really using cloud and AI ops to reduce the operational hassle of managing and operating these networks, right? And with LLMs, we're continuing that journey, making it easier for customers to get questions answered before they open the support tickets. So with LLM, we've actually added it into Marvis. We actually are using it in our support team now. Every support ticket that comes into MIST right now basically has an LLM answer and the documents in that ticket, trying to help our support team get to resolution faster. And that same technology is now being available to our customers. And that's how we're trying to help prevent support tickets, both inside of our support team and in our customers team. You know, as we've discussed, right, when we move to cloud, support is ultimately the best proxy for our real customers. You know, and helping them reduce tickets is basically helping our customers. The fewer tickets they see is the fewer tickets our customers are sending them.
Yeah, I love that point, Bob, around how if we reduce the support tickets of our customers, that is the best, testament of success.
Yeah, and what I tell people is they always ask me, what's the difference between AI and whitewashing AI? The first step on that journey is really making sure you're using your own cloud AI ops in your support team. If they're not doing that, they have not started the journey to cloud AI ops.
Well, thanks, Bob. Those are really, interesting points. And on that note, we'd love to talk more about the Zoom and the team integrations and how they're adding value to customers, because I know that's essentially a very important aspect, and many customers have found a lot of value from Zoom and team integrations.
Yeah, no, this is an interesting one. This started with a big customer about 3 years ago who told us that, Zoom calls were in the top 3 support tickets they were getting, right? And the challenge was, how do we help customers with their Zoom and Teams? Because when you think about it, Zoom and Teams are what I call the canary in the coal mine, right? If your network has any problems, it's going to show up in those video collaboration apps, right? And so what we've done with Zoom and Teams is basically we've taken Zoom data and network feature data, and now we build models that can accurately predict user experience, Zoom, Teams experience. And once we have these models built, we can actually use them now to use things like Shapley to get the visibility on what is causing a bad Zoom or Teams experience, all the way at the user level, AP level, and the site level. So canary in the coal mine, very important, usually the top 3 or 4 support ticket problems.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, Bob. I totally agree. Just being a user of Teams and Zoom myself, it is so valuable to have the Wi-Fi is so essential, and adding AI to the Wi-Fi, that's a big win.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with Zoom and Teams, I always tell people, We all have been using machine learning algorithms. Zoom and Teams, what we're doing here is what I call continuous learning, where we're continuously training these models with megabytes, terabytes of data, right? And that is the power of when we go from machine learning to deep learning. Machine learning is what we've been using for years to automate these networks. Deep learning is really where we're differentiating. This is your ChatGPT experience.
So how does Juniper differentiate itself from more traditional networking companies?
Yeah, I think this question goes all the way back to the origins of Mist. When Sujay and I left Cisco, we made a big bet that basically cloud and AI were architectural changes in the industry, right? Because we knew we were not going to beat the big guys with a feature. So I think when you look what we did at Juniper and Mist was really that AI native blank sheet of paper story, where the bet was, hey, if we're going to build a real-time AI network, we're going to have to start from scratch and basically build something that can process tons of data, ingest tons of data from different networking sources. So I think that is the main differentiator, is making sure that cloud foundation got built. And then on top of that AI native cloud foundation is really building Marvis and the AI ops piece of it.
I love the AI native and how that being the foundation and Juniper really differentiating itself as having AI at its core and foundation is big.
Cool. I think, the other differentiation, I think what people have a hard time appreciating is when you actually go into the details of moving from kind of a controller-based software on hardware into these microservices cloud architectures, not everyone fully appreciates the difference in the software architecture. And that's what really forced us to actually start with a blank sheet of paper, because we couldn't simply take the software that was on our controller and put it in a container cloud. You really had to start from scratch and start with this software architecture built around microservices and API. And that is the other big differentiator of Juniper, is that cloud architecture.
So how do you improve radio resource management?
Yeah, so in the wireless world, radio resource management has been around for decades. 20 years ago when I was doing aerospace, we were really trying to optimize how access points saw each other. This time around, we're really trying to optimize the user experience. And that's really trying to leverage reinforcement learning and making sure that we're balancing the connectivity between a user and the access point. And when you look at some of the challenges have changed over the last 20-some years. 20 years ago, we had transmit power and channel, basically. When we look where Wi-Fi is headed with 6E and 7, now we have multiple bandwidths to deal with. We got 20, 40, 80, 160 megahertz bandwidth. And we have more bands now, right? We have 2.4, 5 gigs, and now we're even moving to the 6 gig bands. So there's a lot more knobs to adjust in this radio reinforcement management, but there's a lot more tools in the toolbox. Now we have reinforcement learning that we can apply to it.
Well, thanks, Bob. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. On another note, one area that I'm personally very passionate about is AI trust and explainability and transparency. I would love to learn about what are the measures that we're taking in that space.
Yeah, so as we discussed, as Zoom and Teams, great example where we're building models to predict user experience. We're actually using something called mutual information, right? Mutual information, and now we're using Shapley. In the first generation, it was really around mutual information and trying to understand why a user minute was bad. Now with Shapley, we're really explaining what network feature is actually most likely to predict an outcome, right? And that is an example of where explainability is bringing a lot more granularity to root cause. If we look forward to other use cases, LLMs. So if we look forward to what we're doing with LLMs, that's almost self-explanatory, where we're starting to basically use what they call retrieval technologies, where we're basically retrieving documents and basically having ChatGPT or an open source LLM answer questions in the context of a document. So in that case there, the customer support, they get an answer, but they also get the docs from which that answer came. So making sure we give domain-specific answers and minimizing the hallucinations you see out of LLMs.
So as a woman in AI myself and a data scientist, I've spent the last 10 plus years working on AI and machine learning. And now I'm really excited to work with Bob Friday and apply AI and machine learning, trust and ethics to the space of networking. Because the world isn't the world without the internet, right? And applying AI to the Wi-Fi and the internet makes the world much more connected, and we have every connection counts.
For me, if you look what's going on in the industry right now, I tell people when you go to your hospital and your doctor, you're going to want to make sure your doctor is using the latest and greatest AI when he diagnoses you. Same with those cars. You're going to want to make sure they use the latest and greatest AI. And in networking, it's the same. You're going to want to make sure when you connect to that network that it's using the latest and greatest AI to provide you the best experience. And that's why it's exciting times to be in networking. So it's great to have you.
Thanks, Bob, for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Thanks to CUEL for having me and look forward to many more.